Good morning. Still Kona low here, drizzly out there, and we got mowers back here, but I got mowers coming today. I told him, hey, Anthony, what? I mean, it rained almost 6 inches yesterday. Gotta get her done. So he's coming. Anyway, thought I'd take a moment because I had the viewer ask me about the fish. There isn't a lot to know or say about them, but I can say a little bit. Fish get their water from the roof. Here you see the rain gutter. Right here is a downspout. It's been plumbed into this first pond right here. There is a siphon going out, just like a catchment tank. Now, this pond is used to raise water plants and guppies. There's no food in there. There's a little bit of water chestnut back there, but that's not on the catchment. See, there's the first pond that the water gets to, but then I buried a pipe underground. It comes up right here. You can hear it trickling. There's a little bit of mist out here today. And it runs into this pool, again with a siphon. Fish are down there. I'm not sure if I can stir them up this morning. It's kind of hard to see them because of the reflection on top of the pool. The water is nice and clear today. And all that rain was almost 6 inches, 5.5 inches yesterday. It doesn't look like they're overly hungry this morning. I didn't expect them to be, but they're down there. That's really about the size of it. That was set up a bit over a year ago. A lady who does aquaculture brought us by a 5-gallon pail with about 20 or 25 nickel to dime size, quarter size tilapia fish in there. Let them into the pool. Ever since, I have been feeding them originally with some tropical fish flake food when they were little tiny guys. They aren't tiny anymore. You can hear them splashing back there. They're getting koi pellets at the moment. There's apparently a wide variety of things, according to the University of Hawaii, that you can feed these things. Coffee wastes, sweet potato wastes. Yeah, that's quite a bit. My first experiment actually trying to raise this particular fish in this way. And so I just went to an old standby that I always used with my koi fish. Got some koi food. The tilapia seem to thrive on it. They are growing. They are now, some of them almost palm size. They make quite a splash. Occasionally they get a little rambunctious, like right now I just saw water flying over the top. Sometimes these guys actually fly out of the pond. I've saved a couple of them at times when I was sitting here and I saw one go over, but I lost a couple, 2, 3 in the process because they just hurl themselves out. You could put netting over the top. You know, there'd be some way to stop this. I'm not overly worried about it. It hasn't been too much. Gracie, very curious about the noise in the pond, has hopped up here on the railing with me. She's watching over the water. That used to be her favorite drinking bowl before we put the fish in there. No, she's a little leery about it. Yeah, so I don't have a filtration system on this pond. I'm not using a UV light or anything at all like that. Tilapia will eat algae, and so algae isn't the worst thing in the world to have in a tilapia pond. The water recharge here under ordinary circumstances is high enough that the tank really never gets contaminated with ammonia and fish waste. It's usually coming in and being siphoned out, going around. So it's in a way like having a spring-fed tilapia pond because we get so much rain here. And everywhere else, like California, when I worked with fish, I always used filters, and I always used UV lights and such, and pumps, and we ran a lot of electricity and so on. I decided to try this system with these fish just a la natural and see how it works out by just rain. So far, so good. Like I say, only fish I've lost threw themselves out. They were suicide fish. Everybody else seems perfectly healthy. They're growing well. They seem to like their food. Periodically, the water will get so thick and cloudy with free-floating algae from the fish wastes that you can't see in there. Currently, we can see in there now all the way to the bottom of the tank, but it's still darn hard to see those fish. They're dark, and they have a tendency to hide, too, in the shadow areas. Anyway, they're doing fine. It doesn't appear that having any special equipment, filters, whatnot, are necessary here to be able to, grow up some tilapia. I am still questioning some of the figures I've seen where they claim 150 gallons of water to 25 fish, I guess, is about the limit. I have double the water, and by now probably less than 25 fish in there. So my only concern really is does the tilapia have that in nature? Some fish, like a goldfish, when you put the goldfish in a little bowl, he only grows that big. But you put a koi fish in a little bowl, and that poor koi fish will fill the bowl completely and keep growing. I'm understanding that tilapia seem to be that sort of fish, that they're not really size limited by the space they're in, more by the nutrients. But live and learn. I'll learn my lessons. If I will be the first one here to admit I took a bucket full of fish and I threw them in a tank full of rainwater, and I'm just watching to see what happens. So far, so good, but I've always been pretty good with fish. It's a long history with me and fish. I guess that's why I didn't get too worried about it.
Ellen, she shows up for meetings with the Big Island Water Garden Club, and it's always bringing something home. Over here we have water lilies. There's the older ones in the white bucket. The black potter is holding a new one, and in the back was another black pot. That's holding a new one. She brought home some water hyacinth, also some water lettuce, that's pista, and then I believe that's salvinia over there in the other pot. It's a floater. The big tank up there, mostly containing a water scaevola. There's a little bit of the Cyperus umbrella plant in there, and then a whole bunch of papyrus. Papyrus goes crazy. I must drag it out because it is eating the pond alive. Over there in a white bucket, you'll see that's water chestnuts. And there's another white bucket back there, and that's also water chestnuts. The edible ones, for your stir fry. Mostly, as I said, that pool is raising guppies. I believe there might be some mollies or swordtails in there too, a little bit bigger live bearers that Ellen has brought home. But otherwise, she raises her water plants in there. Gracie Cat here is keeping an eye on everything.
Well, now the university here in Hilo, University of Hawaii, has probably one of the best aquaculture programs for education. I've dropped in there before and had a look at it. Pretty impressive. They're doing freshwater aquaculture with like tilapia and such there on the campus on the farm. But I understand that the students have even started an oyster project in Hilo Bay. Oh, otherwise, for freshwater fish, I'm sure there's a number of possibilities. There are several different varieties of tilapia. Catfish are done here. Few people messing with that. Freshwater prawns are something of interest to me as I expand this. That's probably one of the things I'll try. Otherwise, I have people ask me about aquaponics frequently. And now, if you think of aquaponics as being basically a hydroponic system, but operating on fish waste instead of, commercial fertilizers. This is too much work, too much trouble. I don't see it as worth the effort personally. It's just not worth it. I've experimented with it and I haven't done it all well. My idea on aquaponics is like this tank out here. The overflow discharge runs, in this case, into my landscape. It's feeding some turmeric down there. It's feeding some shrubs and so on. And so the residue from the fish naturally disperses into the landscape as the tank runs over. That's cool. I like that. And when the fish are harvested, there's a plug at the bottom of the tank, and we'll flush everything out and spread the debris around for the plants. I think that works really well. My suggestion on aquaponics would be just to set the fish tanks, the fish ponds up out in the banana grove, out in the citrus grove, someplace where the natural discharge from the tank will just simply seep into the surrounding landscape and benefit the plants. Otherwise, trying to balance plant size to fish size to nutrient level, it's really difficult. My thoughts, the only logical way would be if somehow you were sending effluent from the fish pond to the plants, but that was not coming back to the fish pond, so you were able to actually supplement the feed at your plants without poisoning the fish. At least that's my thought on the subject. Yeah, it's overly complicated, difficult, aquaponics. I guess otherwise I have only one other comment about fish pond around here, and it's cane toad. Yeah, cane toad. If you're in one of the areas here in Puna where you have a lot of the cane toads, because there are some pockets of water that remain pretty much year-round in the creek next to me, I have quite a bit of cane toad right around here. Well, if you build your pond so it's above ground and stands up maybe 2 feet or so, cane toads really can't jump over the top and get into it. If you build your pond at ground level, it will probably fill up with cane toads during the breeding season. Now, we're not really encouraging this amphibian here, but I can tell you, neighbor put a pond in at ground level out here behind me, and when it comes time for cane toads, oh man, the roar is intense. And so, if you wish to avoid cane toad roar, you might want to build the pond above ground level so it's too hard for them to hop in there. And as usual, here's Gracie. She's come to see everybody, right, Gracie? Say hello to the people. Alrighty, girl. You're a good kitty. Aloha.